Ladies and gentlemen, I want you on your feet. I want you to welcome the Mistress of the Dark. Ladies and gentlemen, Elvira, Cassandra Peterson. Out of all of the things I would ever think that I would do in my life, this wasn't one of them. This just wasn't on the list, but here we are. So, welcome to Geek'd, welcome to Shreveport.
Thank you. This is awesome. Wow. Thank you all for showing up. This is awesome. I want to explain the stupid sunglasses. I am not a celebrity. Well, I am a celebrity, but it's not for that reason. I have a really gross eye infection. So, if I shook hands with you earlier, you probably have it too. I'm keeping the sunglasses on because my eye looks like something that crawled out of a hole. So
it looks like Tate Steinzig did her eye makeup today.
It does. So, just in case you're wondering why I have to keep them on, it's gross. Okay. Okay, so it's so weird. I can't even see anybody in these damn things. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to handle, so let's get into it. I want to dial it all the way back. I want to go back to before Elvira existed. I want to go back to the idea, that spark. Where did the Elvira spark come from?
The spark of Elvira. Well, probably when I was like 5 years old, wanting to be the center of attention. That's all I wanted to be, like me, everybody look at me. Everybody was always, did you want to be in show business? And I said, I don't know if I want to be in show business so much as I wanted to be the center of attention. And now I definitely am, right? So that may have been where that came from. I did start out being a dancer, and then a singer, and a model, and an actress, a comedian, and always, did get into show business, obviously. But I think, I don't know, the driving thing was always, kind of me. But also, it's coincidentally, I grew up in a very, very Halloween kind of world. My first costume, and I have this new book coming out, which will be out October 5th. It's my new coffee table book. It's photos of me, all the photos from 1981 until the present day, and behind the scenes photos and commentary that I wrote along with each picture to describe what I was doing, and it's pretty interesting. If you like that sort of thing. Anyway, so look for that. But the point is, I have this picture, the first picture, and it is of me at 5 years old, dressed in a little orange and black crepe paper number that my mother glued together for me. I guess we were too poor to have fabric. And I have a little crown and a scepter, and it's black and orange. And guess what I went as? My first Halloween. The Queen of Halloween. Okay, how bizarre is that, really?
That's called foreshadowing.
Huh?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, I know. It really is. It's very, very bizarre when I realized that. Not long ago, I found this picture and figured it out. But also, my mother and my aunt owned a costume shop. So every Halloween was a big, big deal for us, and especially for me, because I got these awesome, awesome costumes. Whatever happened to be the hot TV show at the time, Gunsmoke with Miss Kitty, probably 90% of you are old enough to remember that one. But, Gilligan's Island, I was Ginger, or I Dream of Jeannie. My mom and my aunt would make me this awesome, beautiful costume, like the real thing. And that's when all the other kids were buying those costumes at Sears, that were like printed on plastic and had the little creepy plastic mask, with a little thing that went around the back. So I was like hot, okay? Even when I was 5 years old. No, I have a picture of me in high heels, garter belt, and stockings. You know what? No, it's not a good thing. But I was always being someone else, playing these characters. So Halloween was this gigantic holiday for me and my family. It was when they did most of their business, and when all my relatives and myself came out and worked on the costumes and sewed them and stuffed tiger tails and devil tails, and it was just a big thing. So I really think that whole thing getting in my head. And I loved horror. I loved horror from the 2nd grade on. I saw my first horror movie. My cousin took me to it. It was House on Haunted Hills with Vincent Price. And man, that movie stuck in my head. It was a love-hate kind of relationship. I had nightmares every night for a month. But at the same time, I wanted more, you know? So we started going to those Roger Corman films that were loosely based on the Poe movies. And I mean, really loosely. And I was once with Vincent Price, and he said they really were Poe movies, weren't they, Elvira? And I was like, yeah. Anyway, okay, that was a joke. But anyway, so... anyway, I was so into that, so into the whole thing, and it's funny that, you know, 30 years later, I ended up being Elvira. It wasn't something I, you know, planned to do. It's just I ended up that way. But looking back over it all, I think it was all kind of in the cards, right? When you say,
yeah, and again,
damn, that was a long answer.
That's perfect, because it can take us on this trip that, again, you can follow in the Elvira Table Book, out October 5th. Now, when you go into the Elvira idea, when that whole thing kind of starts to come together, and not just the spark, but when it actually starts to come to brass tacks, and you're like, I gotta do this thing, and I gotta figure this out, where did it all come from, and how did it all come together?
When the actual show happened?
Yeah, when you get the idea, and you get this pitch, and now in your brain, you gotta start piecing these things together.
Now, this is the funny part. I didn't really plan any of it. I was in the Groundlings, which is a comedy improv group in LA. A lot of people have come out of there. Pee Wee Herman, strangely enough. He and I are in one of the most exclusive clubs in America. It's just he and I dressing up like crazy characters, and you know, that's and we own our characters, so I think we're about the only two out there. Maybe you could put Alice Cooper, Gene Simmons in our club too, but that's about it, you know, when it comes to that. So Pee Wee was in the Groundlings with me before he was Pee Wee, and before I was Elvira, the late Phil Hartman, and 101 other comedians that are out right now. I mean, everybody used to be in the Groundlings. It's pretty amazing. But anyway, I was in the Groundlings, and I was a big nobody. And I heard about an audition for a local horror host. And believe it or not, I did not know what a horror host was. Because, you know, we lived in Kansas. We were too poor to have a horror host when I was a child. So anyway, I'm going like, oh, horror host, that sounds cool. There's horror in the title. And I went in, and the director from the small station in LA, a local station, actually had come to see me in the Groundlings, and he liked this character I was doing that was kind of like a Valley Girl character. Mood Zappa was just out then with her song Valley Girl that her dad, Frank Sinatra, Jesus, Frank Zappa wrote. And so I was doing this kind of Valley Girl character, you know, and talking like that and everything, and this actress character that I had. And this guy from this television station, KHJ, saw me and asked if I would like to audition for the role of this horror host. And I said, sure, that'd be awesome, I need money. And I went in as myself and ended up getting the part. And he said, I want you to do that character. And I'm going, I thought this was a horror host. And he says, no, that character would be great. You know, just come up with a scary look. So one interesting thing in the book that you're going to like too are the sketches that my best friend at the time, who was an artist, Robert Redding, drew sketches of what we thought I should look like. And the first idea that he and I came up with was a kind of, we were basing it on Sharon Tate in the Fearless Vampire Killers, kind of a dead, ghostly, pale girl with long red hair and really white face and pink tattered gown. And that's the picture we took into them first. And they were like, no, you have to be scary. You have to be all in black, you know? We're like going typical. So we went back to the drawing board and he came up with this photo that was, you know, kind of vampire, Morticia Adams, you know, based on all the earlier people, long black hair, but he tried to make it a little more 80s, you know, looking, it was the 80s then, so that's why we were doing that. And so we went in with this picture, which I said these drawings are in the book. It was pretty interesting seeing kind of how they evolved. The dress was short to begin with and like got longer. The hair was bigger and poofier. It's really kind of fun seeing. And went in and they said, yeah, we like that, so we're, use that. So I went on doing this wacky Valley Girl character, wearing this outfit that did not go together. This was like, okay, I'll do whatever you say, you're paying me $300 a week, but, and I really didn't think the show would last longer than a couple weeks. I was just, I'm going, this is stupid.
But it does. And then
I know. It did. It lasted 35 years.
I was going to say, from that point, all of a sudden, boom, it takes off. Like, how fast was that? Meteoric rise, the term that was thrown out loud.
It was so fast I couldn't believe it. We started sometime in September of '81. And by October, I was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. I was, getting offers for Coors beer ads. I was going on all the big shows at the time, Chips and $1 Million Man, whatever the heck that thing was called. What's it called? Yeah, Fall Guy, thank you. And getting invited on everything, and I was in shock. I mean, for one thing, I had my name in the phone book, and I was getting calls from everybody. It's back then you actually had a phone book, and you actually put your name in it. And when I started getting calls morning, noon, and night, non-stop, phone didn't stop ringing, I was like, something's going on here, this is happening. But I always tell people, if you ever want to develop a character, if you're interested, in horror, and you're thinking about developing a character, or any genre for that matter of fact, sci-fi, fantasy, horror, pick one from column A and one from column B. That's how I've made, I think, a successful character. And not because I planned it that way, but like a Chinese menu, you just go, you pick one thing that works over here, one thing that works over here, they don't go together at all, and then mash them up, and you got something unique. Because if they would have told me to come in and do a spooky horror character, I would have been doing that, come in, darling, drink a glass of blood, sort of thing. That's just where you would have gone with it, So keep that in mind, any budding horror hosts out there.
So if we're going through this meteoric rise, and you're on all of these Tonight shows, you're in these movies now, you're starting to expand this, where does the business side come in? Because you've been one of the best business people in the Hollywood industry ever. Like you said, you own the character. You have kept it so solid and clean for business than just some chuckles of $300 a week.
Yeah, it didn't really start, I wasn't really thinking in that direction at the beginning, but things just slowly kind of fell into place. What happened is, KHJ, this local station, owned all the rights to the character because they were hiring me. Every time my contract would come up, it was every 6 months, we would ask for more money than $300 a week, and they would always say no because we're so incredibly cheap. And so my managers would say, how about giving us the rights to have a fan club? And they'd go, okay, that's good, then we can make a little extra money. Fantastic. So no more money from them, but we could do a fan club. Then how about the rights to go on other television shows? Okay, they gave us those. It kept going on that way, the rights to merchandise, the rights to do a Halloween costume, the rights, and before you know it, we had all the rights. I love that story. Oh my God. It was hilarious. And I don't feel bad about it at all because I worked there for, oh gosh, what was it, 4.5, 5 years, and I got $300 a week before taxes, and I was working my ass off. I wasn't just, my tush off, and I wasn't just shooting the shows and being Elvira. I was also writing them with my partner John Paragon, also from the Groundlings, and he wrote Elvira, Mistress of the Dark with me, and Haunted Hills. So I didn't feel bad about getting those rights, and I especially didn't feel bad because they got busted for tax evasion and other stuff, and they went down the tubes, and had they owned the character, it would have gone with them into bankruptcy court, never to be seen again. So there was just more luck than sort of combinations, business and combination luck, but I've always had some good people working with me and good advice, and but I do have a sense of where I want the character to go, what I want it to be, and just keep sort of going in that direction towards that goal,
So you've got a goal, you've got all of your rights, you got everything that you need, and then did you come up with the idea for a movie, or did somebody bring the movie idea to you?
I came up with the idea of a movie. I had this thing when I just decided I am going to do an Elvira movie. That's what I want to do, and it really got like in my brain, and I couldn't get it out. The head of NBC television came to me, Brandon Tartikoff, and he loved the character, and he offered me a television show. And they started developing it, and I told him, you know, I'd love to do a TV show on your little network. What's it called? NBC? But you know, I want to do a movie first, because in those days, back then, if you were a TV actor, you would never, in a million years, make the transition to films. If you were a film actor, you could always go back and do TV. So I just had in my brain, I've got to do a film first. Got to do a film first before I do this TV show. So I did the film. Unfortunately, the TV show never happened, but I'm still glad I did the film. It was kind of something that's still really sad for me. It was working on it really hard for 3 years, writing it and producing it and doing all that. And then the day my film came out, we were going to be in something like 350,000 theaters in the United States. The company that was doing the distribution, that NBC had sold the distribution rights to, it was very strange. The president of that company was a groundling. I mean, it's so bizarre. And
counting a lot.
I mean, is it weird? I know. And they went bankrupt day before. So my movie was slated to be in all these theaters all across America, and ended up coming out in 350 theaters, mostly just New York, LA and San Francisco were the three main markets. And you cannot be a hit when you come out in 350 theaters. You could, if Star Wars came out in 350 theaters, it would not have been a hit. There's just no way, not enough people can see it. So anyway, big bummer, it did terrible. And now I'm very happy to say that after finally, you know, 25, 28 years, whatever it's been since the movie came out, it's slowly becoming kind of a classic, kind of a horror and Halloween classic, yes. So thank God. I mean, I'm just like, it was so much work.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like having a baby and having to be sort of stillborn or something. It's a creative thing that just was DOA.
So, and that's one that you couldn't control. Something happened wrong. But it didn't work out. There have been a lot to have. What are some of the things that along the way you really wanted to see come through that just didn't work out for you? What's that one Elvira idea that you really wanted to provide to us that just for whatever reason didn't happen?
Well, it was the television show with CBS, and I did a TV show called The Elvira Show. And you can look it up online, actually, the pilot. It's kind of really funny if you guys haven't seen it. It's really cute. CBS wanted to do this pilot, and I did it with me and Catherine Hellman. I don't know if you know who she is, an actress. She's awesome. And we did this really, what I think was really an awesome show. John Paragon and myself wrote it. And pilot went fantastic. 20th Century Fox was all over it. Everybody loved it. Here's another, one of those things. The president of the network, who loved the project, was sick that week. He was in the hospital, and they flew in the head of sports from New York, Howard Stringer from NBC from New York, and he picked the lineup for the year. And he saw my show and he was going, "Who's that? What's that about? No, forget it." And that was the end of my show right there. And you know, I'm still very bitter about that. I mean, because everybody thought it was, everybody on the studio, in the studio, and everywhere that was working on it was sure it would be a big hit. And it was funny, someone just sent me the lineup of that year. Not one show they picked went on for a second season. Not one. And I think it had something to do with the head of sports picking the lineup of shows that year.
And I think the bitterness is reflected in the fact you're the only person who's going to remember the head of sports at NBC that year forever.
I know, I still remember his name, Howard Stringer. I can't remember anybody's name, but I remember that guy's name, right? Yeah, so that was unfortunate. Another one of those little glitches that, You know, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but oh well, you just keep plugging along and doing what you do.
So that's one thing that we didn't get to see, but out of all of the things that we have got to see, pinball machines and movies and coffee table books out October 5th, what is the one thing that you are most proud of that Elvira has accomplished?
Oh my gosh. I think honestly the thing I'm most proud of are all the people, the fans who tell me all the time, and it's so weird, how I influenced their life and how some of them may have felt kind of like misfits or losers when they were a kid, and that they saw the Elvira movie and suddenly felt like, I'm okay, I can do this. She's a loser, she's a misfit, but she's still okay. She's strong, she stands up to people, especially men who try to put her in her place. She doesn't take any crap from them. And I get that comment from so many fans, and I mean, I honestly think that's the main reason Elvira exists, to help people who were young and just didn't, you know, I don't know, didn't fit in, and kind of look at Elvira and go, hey, if she can do it, anybody can do it, you know? And the cool thing about that is all these little misfit kids that I have seen for like 30 years who tell me that, come back like 30 years later, and in LA, they're like heads of studios, they're like the creative person behind all these things you can't imagine. So they end up being the cool people finally, you know? They do. So that's what I'm proud of about it.
And we can tell you're proud of the coffee table book that's coming out. That's going to do the same thing essentially picture-wise. The coffee table book that will be out October 5th.
You mean the coffin table book?
Coffin table? Did I mishear? Is it a coffin table?
No, that was a coffee table. So you were right.
That was going to be next level. That was, there might actually be another one of those ideas. Somebody write that down. But
I'm very proud of it because it's kind of a, you know, a timeline of my whole career. So it's pretty interesting to see how the character came to be and all these sketches and pictures of behind the scenes and just the photos for 35 years, how the character has changed or not changed. It's kind of odd because happy to say Elvira looks very similar to when I started out, you know?
Absolutely.
My hair kept
going. Give it up for Elvira.
Thank you.
And keeping that, yes. Because that is one thing that has come up over and over and over again. And that's actually something that came up recently in an interview that you did that caught fire on the internet. And it has to do with something that we're doing right now, comic book conventions. I saw it taken in a couple of different ways, so I would like to give you the floor to be the final answer. What is the future of Elvira, especially as far as Comic-Cons go?
The future of Elvira is animation. That's actually what I'm working on right now. And as far as Comic-Cons, you mean actually appearing at Comic-Cons?
Well, then that's the thing. There was the interview that got taken in a couple different directions on the internet. All of a sudden it became, you're not appearing anywhere anymore. And then it became, well, she's never gonna don the wig again. And so it went a lot of different ways, because that's what the internet does.
Yeah, no, they do. It's really weird. I mentioned at San Diego Comic-Con, I mentioned to like one person in an interview, I said I was going to retire at 40, at 50, at 60. And now it's like, I got to retire, man. I'm getting on Medicare. So I say that to one person like as a joke, and the headline I see is, Elvira retiring after San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm just like, oh. And then everybody picks that up, and this happens to me all the time. I feel like Cher. I'm doing my final performance every year, right? Oh man. So who knows when I'm going to retire? You know, I keep saying I am, but there's got to be a point where someday people go, damn, that woman's got to take that costume off. Well, you know, I mean, it can happen. We'll see how long I can push it.
We're hoping forever,
well,
if that's okay.
Well, there's better be some brilliant doctors out there. Well, they do have holograms now, you know.
That is true. We could try to pull that off. We got that in the coffin table book. Those
maybe
are both in.
Maybe that's the future of Elvira, holograms.
There are a couple of those weird stories that pop up, and this is one that just came into my head.
Didn't have to do with anything with last night, did it?
No. I don't think so. As long as we're kind of dispelling myths, there's another one that's out there. There's a musician, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, his name's Tom Waits.
Oh, yeah.
He has an album cover that half of the internet believes you are on, and half of the internet believes you clearly are not on that album cover.
I don't know, because I look at it, I look at the cover, and here's the problem. I remember the 60s, and I remember the 80s, but I don't remember the 70s. I just go straight from the 60s to the 80s. So this picture was clearly taken in that period I don't remember. I look at it, I kind of go, never ever looking like that. Then there's part of it that goes, it does look like me, you know? And you know, anything could have happened in the 70s, right?
My favorite part of that story is that
apparently don't know. You'd think I would remember taking a photo with Tom Waits, right? I mean,
right. And apparently that wasn't like a story until I had read that Jack White from the White Stripes had brought you the album cover to sign.
Yeah, Jack's the one who told me that first.
And that you actually had to break the news to him that it might not actually be him.
I know, he was really super bummed out too. I signed it anyway.
I was going to ask.
I did.
Take credit.
Yeah, no, you know, there's other things like in this, when was it? Oh yeah, I don't remember, but it was like I was with Paul Rubens, you know, Pee-wee, not long ago, and we went to the Golden Globes together one time, and he's going, you remember who we sat next to, don't you? And I'm going, I have no idea. And he goes, Elizabeth Taylor, the whole night, we had a fantastic time. And I'm going, really? Was I there? I don't know, I just have these brain...
Except for the head of NBC Sports, who she will always remember his name.
Who?
Now,
Okay.
she got me. That's what happened. She got me. Coffee table book one more time, because I just want to get the idea, October 5th, I just want to get the full idea of how far this is taking it into, are we stopping at Elvira, or are we seeing Cassandra in the coffee table book?
It is all Elvira. The only picture of me as Cassandra is the flap where it says that I'm the author. I don't know if author is the right word when it's all photos, but, and the picture of me when I'm 5 years old as the Queen of Halloween. So that's it. But it's just sketches, though, and playbills and different things, a little bit of a scrapbook thing, but then photos that you guys, I'm sure, have seen for years all over the place on posters and whatever. And then a lot of photos that people have never seen that I had in my collection that I've never put out there before. So. Yeah, so it's a bit of everything, but I think, you know, Elvira fans are really gonna dig it, because it's, I don't know, it's something I've wanted to do my whole career and just didn't have the time and energy, and I finally found somebody willing to put it all together, so that's basically it.
And they're gonna be able to get it on your website.
You're gonna be able to get it at elvira.com, and it makes the perfect Christmas.
There we go. Black wrapping paper.
Perfect gift for Christmas, birthdays, Hanukkah, you name it.
Bar mitzvahs, I mean, all over the place.
It's fantastic. No, I think you're gonna, it's really fun. I'm impressed myself. I'm me.
It's not gonna be the only thing available at Elvira.com, though. You've got a lot of merchandise. That's been one of the big pieces of Elvira.
Yes.
What is your favorite, all-time favorite piece of Elvira merchandise?
I probably have to say the pinball machine, because I was a big pinball fanatic when I was like in my 20s. I was always going to bars and playing pinball, and so getting a pinball with my image on it was like getting the Academy Award to me. That was like more awesome. It was like, this is fantastic. And so anyway, I have those two pinball machines. And maybe, you never know, something might come out again, maybe, you never know. Anyway, so I got those were pretty awesome. These slot machines, I have about 4 slot machines out. I have a new one just coming out this October, which I swear to God is the most awesome slot machine I've ever seen in my life. It's about 4 feet wide and 10 feet high. The chair that you sit in shakes, and the speakers are next to your ears, and I stand on it and I do commentary, like going, hey you, come on, let's play, come on, I'm gonna show you a good time. And so I'm talking to people in the audience, and then when you get a certain jackpot, different clips of old movies come up. and I comment on them, and you see the little clip of the movie, and depending on what clip it is. So it's much more fun than just playing a slot machine. You see all these old clips of old movies, and I keep commenting to you about them, about the various jackpot. And anyway, it's really cool. They're doing me and on this state-of-the-art one. Me, Britney Spears, that's another one, and Walking Dead. So it's going to be, it's good company.
Let's go back to column A and a little column B.
I know. No, but I have mine, and then Britney Spears has her, and then Walking Dead has theirs. So it's this new technology for machines. And, you know, since we're like right across the street from all those gambling casinos, I guess it's a good thing to bring up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Do you own any of the pinball machines?
I do. I have 10 of each pinball machine, and brand new in the boxes. Yeah.
That's where they're all at.
Yeah. I paid so much storage for them by now that they're probably worth, you know, I'm in the hole on them. But anyway, yeah, that really licensing and merchandising have become what the character is, you know, more about. I mean, selling my costumes and comic books and Halloween items and all that. It's sort of my main business. I mean, that's what I do pretty much all year round. You know, people think I kind of do Halloween and I go to sleep and wake up. But really, I work all year long. And speaking of Halloween, I'm getting ready for my big show at Not Scary Farm. I don't know if you guys know about this, but the Halloween haunt in Southern California at Knott's Berry Farm is the biggest Halloween haunt in the world, the oldest and the largest. And I do a big show there every year, singing, dancing, and telling jokes. Every night as Elvira, 2 shows a night through the month of October, part of September. And I mean, everybody comes out to see the show. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know, like Jack White always comes, Pee Wee always comes, Josh Homme, I don't know if you guys know him from Queens of the Stone Age. And this year, my neighbor, Dave Navarro, is coming over. And I live next door to Dave Navarro. It's so bizarre. I went over there the other day to have him put hooks through his skin and hang over his pool. That's what he does now for fun. Like relaxing, right? Anyway, but that's what happens when you live next to Dave Navarro. But anyway, I mean, all these people, I know, it's a typical afternoon at your neighbor's house.
Hey, neighbor!
Yeah, and I'm going,
hey!
And how many neighbors have you tattooed on their leg too, right? Cool. So anyway, yeah, so people come out and see the show. It's like a big deal. It's really super fun. So you start packing your cars now. It's a short drive, Southern California. There you go.
Elvira.com, all over social media. Coffee Table Book, October 5th. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, and Funko, doing my little pop, my Funko Pop thing.
I don't want to wrap this up before we talk about the Funko.
Yeah.
Hang on. How many people have Funkos? You guys have Pops?
The pop. Yeah, the little ones are just coming out right now. A little kit of 6 of them. Of me, Freddie, I think, oh my gosh, who else is in it? Linda Blair is the Exorcist child, and I can't remember who else in it, but I'm one of those 6. And then maybe more stuff coming out soon.
Halloween's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Cassandra Peterson, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.